we got him in office, and we were so happy. But then after we were saying, yes, we can, and si se puede, we kind of started saying, yes, he can. Kind of said, yes, you can. Go out there and solve our problems. I'm telling you that when we can walk with the president, we should walk with him. But when we can't, we got to walk ahead of him. The movement has to inspire politicians. The movement must inspire politicians. Now, with a progressive president and an alive progressive movement that understands that we have to make a moral call, have a moral beacon that will guide based on principles, not personality, what could we do with the president who actually wants to do the things we want to do? We need to liberate our president, y'all. We need to free him. We need to make it easy for him to do what he wants to do. Hey, Netroots Nation! How you guys doing? Come on now, let me hear from you. Make some noise, Netroots. This ain't no time to get shy. Netroots Nation. Welcome to Minneapolis. Welcome to Minneapolis. Welcome to the city where Hubert H. Humphrey in 1947 told the Democratic Convention that, you know what, we got to leave the dark night of segregation and walk into the bright light of integration. And Strom Thurmond didn't appreciate that none too much, and they walked out and created the Dixiecrats. He didn't care, but that's the kind of city I come from, you guys. I'm telling you, welcome to where Paul Wellstone, this is his stomping ground. This is where Paul Wellstone did it. This is where Paul Wellstone said, he said, we all do better when we all do better. That's what he said right here in this town. Welcome. Welcome to Minneapolis. Welcome to Minneapolis. I want you to know that I feel so inspired by you. I mean, I am just so impressed with what you are doing. This is the best, largest, most butt-kicking gathering of wired progressives in America. I'm telling you right now. I'm sure you haven't heard anything about this, but they got some sorry little gathering over there at the Hilton. It's pathetic, really. It's quite unfortunate. But we are on fire around here. You know, the fact is, the reason I'm so honored to be able to address you for just a few minutes is because you all have the capacity to do what very few people in America can do. You can go around the corporate media. You can get a message to the American people. You can send a message in a bottle to the American people that doesn't count on whether ABC or CBS or NBC or CNN or Fox likes it or not. You can just go right on around them. You can tell them. And you know, there's something that you need to tell them. There's something I want to ask you to tell them. I want you to tell the American people that everybody counts and everybody matters. I want you to tell the American people that we are one America. And it says, and liberty and justice for all. And liberty and justice for all. It's liberty and justice for the straight and the gay. Liberty and justice for all. For the both folks born here and the folks who come here, our new Americans. It's liberty and justice for all, for the Muslims, the Christians, the Jews, the Hindus, the Baha'i, people who don't go in for religion at all. It's freedom and justice for all of us. It's liberty and justice for all. And we gotta be fierce in defense of this idea of one America. We gotta be fierce in defense of this idea because, you know, this country went through a bloody civil war to fight for the simple idea that no person should be able to own another one. This country went through a momentous women's rights movement that said that one half, actually more than one half, of all humanity deserves respect and equality and to control their own life and their own destiny. This country went through a labor movement. You know, it used to be a crime. They used to say it was a restraint of trade and a labor union should have no place. Well, you know what? We fought and we fought and we fought and we won labor rights in America, and people have the right to organize on their job, and a union is a good thing. Right now, let me say, the right to organize, a basic human right. We need you to tell the American people this. We need you to tell the American people this. Because you know what? There's some guys out here who want to control the message. You know, they don't like that internet thing because they can't control the message. And if you and I are talking about one America, they want to break, they want to say, not just one America. They want to get me and you argued among one another. You know, they want to say, well, you know what? You know, liberty and justice for all is fine, but not so much those Muslim people. Not so much those gay people. Not so much those new American people. Not so much those labor union people, not so much those liberal people, not so much those trade unionist people, not so much those people who want an America where all are included, where all are embraced and respected for who they are. You and I gotta say, no, the message is gonna get through to the American people that we're not gonna let these wedges divide us. We're not gonna let them break us apart. We're not afraid of no nonsensical, fictitious Sharia law that they want to invent. It's completely nonsense. Not one state, not one county, not one city, nothing. No one is asking for this, but they have created this straw man because they want to create fear between me and you. That's what it's all about. And I'm telling you, if they try to once they pick out one, they're going to pick out another one. So we got to hang together, folks. And each one of us has got to be a soldier and an agent to say, you know what? Liberty and justice for? That's right. Don't let the wedges come, because that's all they got. If your whole political philosophy is the elevation of greed to an ideology that only serves 1% or less of the American people, then how are you going to get 50% of the American people to vote for that program? First, you got to suppress the vote. You got to tell them that they need a state-issued identification card even to vote, even though the Constitution says nothing of the sort. You gotta make them scared of each other. You gotta make them suspicious of each other. You got to make them not want to hang together. You got to try to get some of them to think that they're more moral than others, and some people's families are not as moral as other people's families, so you can look down your nose because why you ain't got no paycheck, and why you got your house foreclosed, and why you got no health care, you at least can feel better than somebody else. Well, we have to reject this message, and we have to be fierce in our defense of liberty and justice for all. And I'm asking you to first break the fear. We got to have freedom from fear. We got to have freedom from fear. I'm telling you, in Egypt, everybody just knew. They just quote unquote knew. They knew that you couldn't stand up against Mubarak. He's just too strong. There's nothing we can do. We just have to take it. But somebody said, you know what? I'm just going to try something. And you know who tried something? Folks who are in the Netroots Nation in Egypt. It started with a tweet. It started with Twitter. And it is not a coincidence that Wael Ghonim worked for a high-tech company, an internet company, because as I said when I started, you guys are the key to changing the whole narrative, to breaking with fear, and to making people feel courageous and connected so that we can claim our own destiny. I'm telling you right now, in America today, the biggest problem is the American dream is slipping out of our fingers. The simple notion that anybody of any color, of any race, of any background can be able to go to a job and earn a decent pay, that they can raise a family on and have a decent retirement, and maybe even shock and go to the doctor if they're sick. This is an idea that is going less and less possible for the average American. And this is an idea that's got to be fought for. And let me just tell you something. Back during the civil rights movement, the African American who were out there protesting used to have allies. These are whites who would go join the civil rights movement. They had allies. And in the women's rights movement, there were men who cared about equality, and they were allies. And those of us who are straight, our gay friends, they call us, what do they call us? Allies, right? Well, in this fight for the American middle class, there ain't no allies. We're all in this. This is all our business. Whether you are a student who doesn't want to go to college for 4 years and then pay for it for 40 years, or whether you are, whether you're a senior and they got these guys over here literally talking about cutting Medicare, or whether you are a new American and you got to listen to these politicians act like every problem in America is your fault. There's no allies. Oh, we're all in this. And we've got to find that solidarity and fiercely defend it. I'm telling you right now, we can do it. It's within our hands. We've done it before. We can do it. It's within our hands, but the Netroots Nation will lead the way. You will lead the way, because you've been leading the way. I'm telling you that the people in this room and people who feel like you feel, you know, you've been at it for a long time, and I'm not going to go back to the civil rights movement or the women's rights movement or the Civil War. I'm going to go back to the year 2000. I'm going to tell you that in 2000, many of us fought, we got involved, we got engaged. And yet, in Florida, we saw direct and clear racial discrimination, which ended up stealing an election and a presidency. And back before Twitter, we used to think tweets were something little birdies did. This was before Twitter, but we had other stuff. We had fax machines, you know, that high-tech stuff. We had cell phones, you know, the big kind. We had stuff. We used technology to get the word out, to talk about how in Florida they used a scrub list to pull people off lists and deny them the right to the vote in that state. And we talked about it, and people got riled up about it. Then 9/11 came, that horrible tragedy for our country, and yet we saw very quickly the goodwill that we had gotten from the world because of this suffering that we endured, all as Americans, began to get squandered with things like the Patriot Act, Guantanamo Bay. It used to upset us. We got enraged, we got involved, and then when Iraq happened, we really got busy. We got out there and we were marching. Who in this room participated in the anti-war march in Iraq? Who in this room got up and said, look, I'm going to put my feet in the street and say we got to go, we got to get out now? And you know what, this movement, this anti-war movement, this worker movement, this movement was on the move, and we were feeling, we could feel it. And we began to employ technology, and then the blogging began to be something that we used to communicate. And sometime in there, our brothers and sisters who are fighting for immigration justice, they began to organize, and they got a saying, they got a slogan they used to use, and that slogan was "Si se puede." Remember it? Anybody want to say "Si se puede"? Come on, say "Si se puede." And then others of us took a cue from our brothers and sisters fighting for immigration rights, and we put it in English because that's the language we understand, and then we started saying what? Yes, we can. We were saying, yes, we can. We were saying that. We were saying it in the streets. We were saying it in the barbershops. We were saying it in the beauty shops. We were saying it everywhere, and we were organizing with this strategy. And we got out there, and we began to march, and then a talented, brilliant, inspiring state senator from Illinois joined that movement that already was going on. He got inspiration from that movement. He got jazz from that movement. He thought about his opportunity to deliver leadership to that movement and became the most tech-savvy candidate. And remember, he gave this amazing speech in Boston, which inspired us. And I was there, I had tears in my eyes, and I was standing on my feet. And I said, here's a guy who can carry a message. But I never thought he started the movement. I never thought he owned the movement. I never thought the movement was his, that he should guide it. He should have input into it. But I know that the movement existed before. The movement sent up leaders. The leaders did not call a movement into existence. And so then what happened is we got out there in the campaign and we said, yes, we can. Yes, we can. And we use music and we use art and we use Twitter and we use text and we use all these things to get the people together behind nothing short of a democracy movement. All built around the simple idea that, you know what, in America, anybody can be president. Everybody can be president. It doesn't matter color. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter if you come from a single mom. It doesn't matter if you didn't grow up with a dad in your household. It didn't matter. All you have to do is have a passion to serve and you could serve. And you know what? Based on this freedom agenda, we got him in office and we were so happy. But then after we were saying, yes, we can, and si se puede, we kind of started saying, yes, he can. Kind of said, yes, you can. Go out there and solve our problems. I'm telling you that when we can walk with the president, we should walk with him. But when we can't, we got to walk ahead of him. The movement has to inspire politicians. The movement must inspire politicians. Martin Luther King never called up Johnson and said, you know, I'm thinking about having a march against segregation. Martin Luther King said, well, what do you think, Lyndon? I'm thinking about getting involved, you know. I'm thinking about getting active, giving back, you know. No. Martin Luther King was out there in 1955, only a few years before Hubert H. Humphrey was out there. And he was out there knocking on doors. He was organizing, and young people were sitting on bar stools, getting, black and white, getting ketchup and cigarettes and coffee burned out on them. And you know what happened? Politicians had to do what the movement demanded that they do, and even after we got a bad president in Richard Nixon, he had to bow to the wave that was progressive and help pass civil rights legislation, even though he didn't want to do it. Now, with a progressive president and an alive progressive movement that understands that we have to make a moral call, have a moral beacon that will guide based on principles, not personality, what could we do with the president who actually wants to do the things we want to do? We need to liberate our president, y'all. We need to free him. We need to make it easy for him to do what he wants to do. Because let me tell you, the DREAM Act needs to be the law. Comprehensive immigration reform needs to be the law. In America, every good American worker should have a good American job with benefits and good wages. In America, the unemployment rate should never be 9%. It should be 1 or 2%. We should all have a job. Full employment for American people. That's what we need to have. But the key to it is us hanging together and following the authentic, jazzed up and passionate leadership of the Netroots Nation that wants nothing more than America to reach its highest aspiration and fulfill a dream that's little more than liberty and justice for all. So I want you to go back out across America. Me and my partners in the Progressive Caucus are going to go back out. We got a 12-city tour talking about jobs and economic justice. We were here in Minneapolis today. Thank you all for coming. Was it a good one? And we're going to Detroit. We're going to Milwaukee. We're going to Houston. We're going to Boston. We'll come to your town. Just invite us. We'll be there. But don't just speak out at the speak out. Speak out in the barbershop. Speak out in the hair shop. Go to Republican town hall forums and speak out there. Now, we're not like them. We're not going to be uncivil like they do. But it's your First Amendment right to ask a tough question. Why don't you want to have America have the best high-speed rail system in the world? Why don't you want to have every community, rural and otherwise, wired up so people can communicate no matter where they may live? Why don't you believe that all Americans should be one? Why are you trying to divide us? You go, you speak out wherever there is a place to be spoken out at, and you inspire America again, and you drag these politicians to do the right thing. And if they won't do it, you run yourself. Netroots Nation, I love you so much. You're the best. Peace.